Hello, travelers. Welcome to the Copper Fox Inn, where we discuss homebrew for Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. My name is Thomas the Human Bard, and I am joined today by.
Onog the half-orc barbarian.
And we are on a side quest where we are discussing more in depth the psychic warrior martial archetype from the newest Unearthed Arcana from Wizards of the Coast. So this is part of our overall review of the Unearthed Arcana. We had an overview video that just came out where we discussed our impressions and overall thoughts. And now we're going to go through each of the different subclasses and give a line-by-line review of what we think about them and how they hold up on inspection. So let's discuss the Psychic Warrior Martial archetype for fighters. Onog, tell me about this.
All right, so basically at third level you can pick that you have been a psychic warrior honing your abilities. I like the flavor text paragraph where it's like, as a psychic warrior, you may have honed your psionic abilities through your own disciplined practice, unlocked it under the tutelage of a master, or developed it at an academy dedicated to the wielding the mind's power as both weapon and shield. I'm just imagining
Some sort of
somebody at
academy
Hogwarts,
yeah.
but they are in full plate armor with a shield at all times. It's like, but Mr. Flitwick,
I was going to say it could be some sort of school for gifted youngsters, perhaps.
yeah, there you go. Okay, so the first ability you get is Psionic Armament. You can channel your psychic power to magically augment your prowess. When you finish a long rest, choose whether to augment your defenses or your strikes. You choose between. Your benefits last until you finish a long rest. So basically, every day you can pick one of these, either defense or offense.
He attack, he protect, but he cannot do both at the same time. He has to pick which one he's going to do.
Mm-hmm. And so yeah. So with this one, the first one we get is Augmented Defenses. When you or a creature you can see within 30 feet of you takes damage, you can use your reaction to roll a d10 and reduce the amount of damage taken by the number rolled. When you reach 10th level in this class, the die changes to a d12.
So when I first read this, I was up in arms because I was like, I'm a bard. How dare they give a third level fighter my cutting words ability? But it's not cutting words. It's a little bit different because
it is only for damage.
Exactly, because cutting words, the best outcome of cutting words is they don't even hit you.
Yeah,
whereas
you remove the attack at all.
They have already hit you. This is just maybe they dealt less damage, so that's I guess fair. But also, I'm a little upset about it. I'll say.
Yeah, well, and on that note though, like that 1d10 is pretty useful, especially at those early levels. The problem I have with this ability,
that's an entire wizard's max HP.
That's an entire wizard's life right there. The problem I have is that they scale it, but they don't scale it in a meaningful way. This is kind of what I was talking about in the overview, where it's like, yes, this ability is cool, and let's make it only mildly stronger 7 levels later.
Yeah, to a D12.
And it's like
maybe
a D12.
It's 2 more, yeah.
Yeah, maybe so now you've got like a 15% chance of preventing one more piece of damage at 10th level, which is when like creatures are doing like 30 damage a turn, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just like the ability is cool and I like where it's going, but where it ends isn't all that entertaining.
Yeah, I agree.
Or isn't all that useful, because it's like it's kind of why people oftentimes complain that Goliaths are just bad orcs, is because they have that ability to instead of when they die, they have the ability to defend against damage, but it doesn't scale with their level in any way. So it like early on it's really powerful, but then as it goes, it's just something they just don't do anymore because creatures are doing huge amounts of damage, and stopping maybe 5 damage isn't helpful.
Yeah, that's fair.
And so then we get to the other side of things, where I think it's like, oh, this isn't even enough in the beginning. Why would I do this? Augmented Strikes. Once during each of your turns, when you hit a creature with a weapon attack, and you can also deal 1d4 psychic damage to that target. When you reach 10th level in this class, the psychic damage increases to 1d6. So once a turn, you can deal on average 2, maybe 3 extra damage of psychic damage, and it's not especially like on the 10th level ability where it boosts up. At level 11, a fighter is attacking 3 times a turn.
That's true. It is almost...
So this is a use. This is just like, oh, one of your attacks do mildly more damage. It's not that cool, and it's not that useful even at earlier levels.
What it reminds me of the most, like if I just look at the numbers, is it's like making an offhand attack with a dagger. Like you could just, I guess, throw on a D4, but you get no modifier for it's just a D4. And it's like, that's not that great, really. If you're not doing anything else to modify it, an offhand attack with a dagger isn't really worth it. Like,
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of better things you could do. And honestly, like if I were a psychic warrior, I would never use augmented strikes. I would just always be using augmented defense, because that just statistically will help my team more.
Yeah, definitely. All right, the next ability at 3rd level as well, Telekinetic Hand. You learn the Mage Hand cantrip, you can cast it without components, and you can make the Spectral Hand invisible. Intelligence is your spellcasting ability for this spell. So this is like almost all the classes. There's some version of this. Even the Telekinetic feat has this idea as well. This is how they're rolling. Being able to move stuff with your mind is you can just cast an invisible Mage Hand. Mm-hmm. Which I guess it's a sort of elegant solution in that there was already a way to move things from far away. So why remake the wheel and make a completely new telekinetic mechanic? So you just make that thing invisible. But also it's not that interesting, you know? It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where as a fighter, you now have an invisible magic hand that can move move light objects around. That's not that bad. That's not that bad to have. Like, it's good for role playing. It's good for exploring and sneaking into places. Maybe not so good for a guy in heavy metal armor. Maybe it's better for the arcane trickster. But this is still like a cool thing to have.
Can a mage hand? Okay, hear me out on this. Hear me out. This is okay. Can a mage hand hold a longsword but not wield? I know it can't wield a longsword, but can it hold one?
Well, now let's go do the math. Let's look up...
How much does a longsword weigh?
How much a longsword weigh, and how much Mage Hand can actually pick up.
How much does a hen weigh? About. Let's see.
So Mage Hand can carry... So it can go 30 feet away from you. You can use your action to control the hand. You can use the hand to manipulate an object, open a door, so it can't... You can't carry more than 10 pounds. A longsword is... It weighs 3 pounds. So a mage hand could carry 3 longswords chained together.
Okay, but hear me out. If a mage hand is carrying a longsword next to me, do I have to spend an action to unsheath that longsword to take it from my mage hand? Because you know the whole stowing and unsheathing problem.
Yeah, well, it still would be an object interaction, regardless. And it would be even worse if you had to use your action to move the mage hand to give you the sword.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm trying to find a way to have it be like I don't have to take out the weapon. I basically already have it, but it doesn't quite work.
Yeah,
it doesn't quite work. If you can think of a clever way to do that interaction, let us know in the comments section. What's the next ability, Onog?
So the next ability is a 7th level ability, Strength of Mind. So here's where we start getting some interesting, unique gameplay stuff now. So you learn, as a bonus action, you can telekinetically lash out at a creature you can see within 20 feet of you. The target must make a strength saving throw against a DC equal to your proficiency bonus plus your intelligence modifier.
Well, 8 plus your proficiency.
Yeah, 8 plus, yeah. The normal way it calculates DC, but it's using your intelligence. On a failed save, the target takes force damage equal to 2d6 plus your intelligence modifier and is telekinetically moved 15 feet directly toward or away from you. Your choice. On a successful save, it takes half damage but isn't moved. You can do this feature a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier, minimum of 1, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. So this is So this is the first ability that says, all right, these are psionic knights, these are psionic warriors, they're using their intelligence modifier. And so this does damage to, it does a lot of damage, almost more damage than your third level ability. And this gives you area control. So if you're a melee character, you can tear people closer to you. If you're a ranged character, you can push them away. And this is as a bonus action too, so you can then proceed to smack them to death.
Yes. With your action surge and hit them 5
with your
times.
action surge, just go ham on the guys and do a little extra damage.
Yeah. It does give you, it says you can use a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier regained. So it's a trackable source of, you have to see how many times you've used it and, like, track that, which I understand the need for that, but I'm always loath to accept another resource I have to keep track of. But, oh well. It's pretty good, though, overall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, that's actually a super cool ability. But yeah, and just, like, even though the damage doesn't scale, the damage is only, like, secondary to the area control ability.
Yeah, and I like that as a vibe for this fighter, and I wish maybe that was even a little bit more strong. Like, if that was the design choice they made, was that this was a area control, moving people around the battlefield with their mind fighter, I would have been really into that. I think that would have been sick. Mm-hmm. All right, Telekinetic Bulwark, 10th level Psychic Warrior feature. When you take the attack action, you can forgo one of your attacks to project a bastion of psionic power in a 10-foot radius around yourself. It lasts for 1 minute or until you're incapacitated. For the duration, you and your allies in the area gain the benefits of half cover and have advantage on strength saving throws. Once you use this feature, you cannot do so again until you finish a long rest or until after you use your second wind feature, which we already discussed how very weird that is.
Well, and we didn't even get into all the interactions with that. Like,
oh, yeah.
So this ability, which is like a cool little ability, it protects you from ranged attacks, or not even area of effects, but it protects you from ranged attacks in this nice psychic way where it makes it harder to hit you with arrows and stuff.
Yeah.
And resistance to strength saving throws, which are usually like push effects or like grapple effects that an enemy creature would apply. And so that's kind of cool that it's like you become this little paladin that protects against arrows and people trying to push them out of your aura.
That is actually what I thought this was a very paladin feeling ability.
Yeah. So once you use this feature, you can't do so until you finish a long rest or you use your second wind feature. So what's interesting to note about this neat little interaction, I think this is probably one of my favorite things about the knight, is that it has this interaction with this other ability, is that you gain second wind on a short rest, but you only gain the bulwark on a long rest. So you still gain your bulwark on a short rest. It's just whenever you use your second wind, you can now just use this again. So it kind of gives you like 3 uses of this per long rest, once on its own, and then you second wind, and then you can use it again, and then you take a short rest, and then you second wind, and then you can use it again, kind of a thing. And it's very interesting that it's tied to this ability, which is just a raw protection ability. It doesn't do extra damage or anything, and it just basically keeps your guys from being moved around against their will or being shot by arrows. And so I don't know what scenario you would want to use all of these things, but it's just kind of a neat little area effect to help protect your dudes.
Yeah, I think that it's more often going to be you get the benefits of half cover, and less often going to be the advantage on strength saving throws. I think it's mostly for, like, you're in a room, you have no cover, and you're getting hit by a bunch of archers. Mm-hmm. Throw this up so that at least you can try to do something back without getting just pin-cushioned by all the archers. Mm-hmm. The strength saving throws might come up less often, I feel.
Yeah, unless you're specifically fighting a creature that has, like, a grapple effect that would, like, steal one of the smaller people.
That's fair, yeah.
Then that's the thing, is, like, when would you be fighting that and arrow people, and it's just kind of it's a neat little thing, I guess. It's 2 niche things put together so that basically it becomes a relatively more useful ability in more broad scenarios, as opposed to trying to find scenarios in which to use both of these abilities. It's just now both of the scenarios in which you would want this are something that you have an answer for.
That's true. Are there any weird interactions with half cover that I'm not thinking of, like a rogue being able to hide in half cover or something? I'm trying to like rack my brain for weird corner cases, but most of that has to do with like
the ruling of half cover.
Obscured. Not really.
I don't think
cover.
it gives obscuration. I think it's literally. So half cover rules. A target with half cover has a +2 bonus to AC and dexterity saving throws. So.
So you already get the bonus to dexterity saving throws from the half cover, and then the strength saving throws just adds on to that. That's actually kind of nice.
A target has half cover if an obstacle blocks or at least half of its body. The obstacle might be a low wall, a large piece of furniture, a narrow tree trunk, or a creature, whether the creature is an enemy or a friend.
Gotcha.
So technically, we should be using half cover rules if like someone's trying to shoot someone behind their friend.
Huh. Maybe the half cover should come up more often in combat than it probably does for most people.
Mm-hmm. Or at least for us.
I need to be hiding behind my teammates, Mario. That's what you're telling me. I need to be throwing more people under the bus.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, you go stand in front of me, and then I'll die. Or you'll die.
So yeah, and there's a couple of abilities like Sniper and Spell Sniper, or not Sniper, what's the word I'm looking for? It's the archery feat. Like, there are those feats that, like, ignore half or 3/4 cover. But, like, otherwise, this is a cool ability.
Yeah, really cool. Let's move on to the next one here. Agonizing Strikes. Tell me about that one, Odag.
So this is a cool little thing. It's a 9th level. Or no, hold on, wait. No.
15th.
Where am I? 15th level. I was reading the wrong page. Your attacks channel Psychic Agony. When you hit a creature with a weapon attack, you can deal 2d10 psychic damage to that target and force it to make a Constitution saving throw equal to DC 8 plus your proficiency bonus and intelligence modifier. Unless the save succeeds, the target falls prone and suffers disadvantage on ability checks until the end of your next turn. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier, minimum of once, plus you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. So this is another one of those intelligence modifier resources, and you can just knock people down, it grants you advantage, and then you can just start wailing on them again.
Mm-hmm. I do like that this one just says whenever you hit a creature. It's not limited to once per turn, not limited to the first time on a turn.
It's just limited to your intelligence modifier.
And so then you've knocked them prone, and then you can make your second attack against them. Aha.
Or at 15th level, your second and then third attack.
Yeah, you can keep going and still keep hitting that extra 2d10 psychic damage every time.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can space it out to use it more as a controlling ability to give them disadvantage and stuff like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I like that a lot. I think that's really, really strong image-wise, where like you're hitting them with the attack, but you're putting this like force push behind it that like drops them to the ground. And then they're like so shaken that they like, they have disadvantage on their ability checks. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, and that kind of plays into this even more so that this warrior is an area of effect kind of a guy. Like, Strength of Mind allows them to move opponents. Telekinetic Bulwark allows them to protect their friends while also preventing their friends from being moved. Agonizing Strikes knocks people down, and if they're using Telekinetic Bulwark, then their friends all jump on and start stabbing the dude,
Yeah.
It's a very cool idea. It's just some of the earlier abilities, I wish they were cooler.
Uh-huh. Well, and this last one, while cool, I feel doesn't fit with that other flavor nearly as well as I wanted to. But let's talk about the final one, Psychic Dreadnought. Not Astral Dreadnought, that's a different thing. Psychic Dreadnought, 18th level, Psychic Warrior feature. The power of your mind suffuses your entire being, making you a nigh unstoppable force on the battlefield. Using your reaction, when you take damage, you can give yourself the following benefits for 1 minute or until you're incapacitated. So notably, you can't just turn this on when you feel like it. You have to
be hit.
Take damage and then use a reaction. You can't just be like, it's go time, baby. But, okay, so here's the 3 things that happen to you for 1 minute. At the start of each of your turns, you regain 10 hit points. Woof.
Yeah.
That's really good.
I guess you're psychically knitting yourself back together.
Yeah. 2, your walking speed increases by 10 feet. I have no idea why that's related to being psychic, but also you can run real fast now. 3, if you are prone, you can stand up by spending 5 feet of movement. I'm imagining that's sort of flavored as like you force push yourself off the ground, so it's cheaper, I guess. But sure. Once you activate this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest.
And yeah, this ability is a lot cooler because once I initially read it, I thought you could only apply one of these things. The fact that you can do all of them is pretty cool. Once again, I don't know how this is supposed to be flavored as you being psychic, as if you get hurt, you heal yourself constantly for a minute, and you run faster. But it does still play into the thing where it's like you can't really be as area controlled as anyone else, because if someone tries to knock you prone, you just hop right back up. It doesn't really cost you anything. In fact, you have a net gain of 5 feet of movement with this ability if you're being knocked prone all the time.
Yeah, it's just your normal movement without it. Yeah, you're still moving further than normal. Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's cool. It's good.
It's just, why is this on a guy who's psychic? Like, what does this have to do with being psychic?
This feels like a barbarian ability. Like, this would be a barbarian subclass ability. Like, that wouldn't have anything to do with being psychic. It would just be, like, the relentless barbarian, which I know there are already versions of that. But, like, it just doesn't seem to fit with anything else. It's a little weird. I wish that the biggest ability was something like you get like a telekinetic blast where you can like do an area of effect, push everyone away from you that's not your friend or something like that. Like that would be really cool and flavorful for this or area control guy.
Yeah, or like you can make like a black hole that like sucks people in and then they can't leave, until the ability is ended or they pass the strength saving throw. Like that would be such a cool thing. I think there's a couple of spells that are sort of like that, but obviously this guy doesn't have access to spells, so it's not available to them. Yeah. But like that would be a cool little thing where it's just like not only are you area control, I control the area itself. It's not just you. Now the terrain is mine because I'm psychically affecting all of you into thinking something is happening. But no, it's like, now I am literally just this monster tank.
Now I'm just Wolverine, I guess. Which is, I guess, on brand for the X-Men vibes, but not for the psychic vibes, really.
I don't remember Wolverine being able to psychically lash out at people. But.
Yeah. Not in any version I've seen. Okay, overall, that's the last one here. What are our further, deeper impressions of this Psychic Warrior class?
I think its mid-level abilities are like super cool and very flavorful for what they were trying to go for. I think its early abilities and its late game abilities just kind of miss the mark. The early abilities in their functionality, the late game abilities in their flavor. But I think this is a cool subclass. It just kind of depends on whether you want to do this instead of being an Eldritch Knight, because you could reflavor the Eldritch Knight that's like, oh, I'm psychic, but it has various different things about it, kind of a thing. This is a much cooler kind of an area of effect kind of a guy, whereas the Eldritch Knight is just, I can cast some spells, but I'm also a warrior.
Yeah.
So I do like this quite a bit more than the Eldritch Knight if you want to make a psychic warrior.
I think that there are two features that both say you get a number of these equal to your intelligence modifier, but those two don't care about each other, and that's a weird thing.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's a lot of math to try and take care of. Even if it's just like, that just means you can cast this 5 times.
Yeah.
Just keep track of that. But it's still like more things that someone has to keep track of outside of the other plentiful resources that the knight has, like action surge and second wind, and literally one of these abilities being tied in with your second wind.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a lot of juggling to have to do.
Yeah, I'd like it if it either interacted more directly with those abilities, saying like when you use your action surge, you get this psychic effect, like something along those lines, or if it was just a like what's the word I'm looking for? A single resource that was your psychic points, And then each of these effects, like each of the features, could draw from that and say, this costs, you can spend five psychic points to do this thing. And then you just have those as being like, that's what psychic people get. They get their psionic points or whatever. And that would take away some of this weird complication. It would narrow it all down to one and then say, to use your strength of mind, you spend one psychic point and this happens, or whatever.
Thomas, congratulations. You just accidentally made the Mystic class.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of what it was, especially I think in earlier versions, is they had kind of like monk key point abilities kind of a thing.
Or like sorcery points. Yeah.
Yeah, very similar to sorcery points. Monk points is they have like their mystic abilities that they can use, and that's what they use to cast spells.
Because I'm not saying we recreate an entire new, like, spell list of different spells to cast with mystic points, but I am saying, like, it would make more sense if it was all of these things like psionic armaments, like your augmented defenses and augmented strikes. Those could be better if they were on some sort of resource, so they would be useful and things you might actually consider doing. Like your augmented strikes could be adding a d6 instead of a d4, or like more often than one time per turn, as long as it still costs something to keep you from just spamming it all the time. And so it could keep similar features, but if you worked them into a framework that was consistent.
And as opposed to just all this different math going on for different abilities, if they were all reliant on each other, but then you kind of run into the same issue that like the sorcerer sort of has with his sorcery points, is that he's got a lot of stuff to use that with, but he doesn't really have a lot of the sorcery points. So do we give them a lot of mystic points? Do we like give them a lot of, or do we limit them and just make every ability use only one, but then some things are worth more than others, kind of a thing.
Yeah, definitely. Overall, I'm not sold on it. I think that it could use a little more design work, but I like the idea of a psychic warrior who moves people around the battlefield and who has that kind of battlefield control element. I think that's a good design space, but I think it could use some more work. All right, I think we'll wrap it up there. Thanks so much for listening, travelers. If you have thoughts about the Psychic Warrior martial archetype, comment them below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for future D&D homebrew discussions. And until next time, keep on adventuring.
Nobody even died.
Nobody even died.